Hey graduates, wagwan wagwan. This is your girl head teacher K, and we are going to be discussing a few things that has taken place over the internet since last night. Yes, indeed. So sit back, relax, and come we're going at it.
If you know comfortable, cause we talk up the things them. Nobody stay but cause we not back from them. We full of speech, but we don't come for fool them. Lift up the knowledge, cause we there so for school them.
Now, the Justice for Jay movement has certainly picked up the pace. First of all, let's just go into a little discussion about the history of this movement. It began with Vibe Studio. Vibe Studio was the one who came up with the slogan Justice for Jay, or at least the members of his platform did. Listen, since then, the Purple Heart has transformed into an iconic symbol of making sure that we protect children, vulnerable minors. Now, while the slogan began with Vibe Studio, many YouTubers have come out since this whole CMR case has hit the headlines in order to ask exactly what happened when it came to Jay. Now, people, the movement has received a lot of controversial responses, some of whom you would least expect. People who really ought to know better when it comes to protecting minors and knowing that the internet is definitely going to make a noise when it comes to an injustice against a child. We all know that the CMR case was dismissed, and that subsequent communication from CMR himself has left the public with many questions unanswered. How did this case get dismissed? Why did this case get dismissed? Why was it not brought to trial? Where did the public arrest record come from? Because the way the internet are going these days, it coming like say CMR and his cronies are wanting to paint that little girl as a liar. And case in point, we're gonna deal with these two YouTubers who came out in defense of CMR. Now you tell me, did King and Shay make any sense? Because throughout that whole blog, I was left completely confused. We're going to go into some of the reactions of the public to what King and Shay had to say before we actually analyze some of the ridiculous statements made by these two, I'm trying to keep it polite, YouTubers. So we had this comment. You guys need to do your research before you open your mouths. The charges was dropped because there wasn't enough evidence to proceed due to the daughter being convinced not to cooperate. Remember what CMR told Vegas. CMR is a liar. Shay, I'm disappointed in you because I thought you were smarter than that. Hmm. Well, with regards to that comment, one of the things that I'm going to kind of counteract is that we're not quite sure if the daughter was convinced not to cooperate. It's clear that she wasn't able to. It's clear that whoever was advocating for her was not basically firmly on her side to ensure that the case wasn't dropped. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Jay actually cooperated with that. She probably had no choice. Then there was this comment which I found very, very good. As a victim of SA, I'm supporting the daughter. Anybody supporting them are enablers. You all out here calling the child a liar. Typical Jamaicans. Poor baby girl needs support. Other fans were warning them to stay out of it. This is not your place or your fight. Never put your neck on the block for anyone. Are we going to go into that perspective? Because I can clearly see what's happening here when it comes to King and Shay running out with this ridiculous commentary, right? So another person confirms basically you're saying the little girl is lying. Wow, this is sad. If that was your daughter telling you that someone touched her, who would you believe? The question is for you both. Here we have another person commenting that CMR was not seen as innocent by the police. The police did not have enough evidence. He was arrested. King and Shay, focus on your content, not defending people who you cannot swear for, as you really do not know the truth. Nobody is fighting them. CMR is destroying his family by himself. I couldn't have said it any better. That was really that was good. Yeah. Let me tell you something. When I listened to King and Shay's vlog, what I saw were biased friends coming out to defend somebody who's basically thrown them a food. Hmm? Their sense of gratitude has overshadowed their ability to distinguish between right and wrong, to the point where their arguments were so illogical and baseless. It made me wonder what kind of level of illiteracy do these two hold in a big foreign? How can you say that because the man born in a September? I mean, that just sounds so backabush. Because the man born in a September, he is incapable of the acts. What does birth dates have to do with anything at all, Shay? You kept repeating this diatribe throughout your entire blog. Oh, they born the same month and we're this kind of people. Listen, there are people born in whichever random month that are criminals. This has nothing to do with the fact that we have a public arrest record from a 13-year-old claiming that this man touched her not once, not twice, not three times. Okay? It happened multiple times. This little girl would have been interviewed by forensic officers, but it is not the job of the police officer to convict. It has to go through the court. And there needs to be sufficient evidence. Now, King, you kept chatting the most crap because all I kept hearing this man saying is, imagine, we not foreign when them take them thing as serious. And anyhow, them, something did go so. You think the man could have walked free? Do you know anything about evidence and proof at all? And that you cannot prove what you cannot see. That it is very, very difficult to pin down a case like this without actual physical evidence. And if there is no physical evidence, then there's very little that the courts can do to get themselves a conviction. And worse, if you do not have somebody in that child's corner going, listen, don't let him out because I know he did this, he is this type of person, then the courts will have no choice but to back off because it's not going to be viable for prosecution. But I know that even that language is going to go over King's head. Because King, me not really think you can read. I think you struggle with literacy and you are the kind of influencers that are dangerous, the ones who don't use their common sense and their intelligence, even if them not book bright. Wait a minute before we go any further into this video. Have you done the right thing, graduates? Have you liked up the video? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and double click that bell, especially if you want to get notifications when I upload new content or when I go live. So, people, I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards King and Shay. They are content creators in their own right. But when I hear content creators coming out here and talking about they're just doing this for views while doing the said same thing for views, the irony of it is never lost on me. No. Because that same ignorant argument is the ones that the people who prefer to pull the wool over their own eyes use all the time. Yeah, because really and truly, every YouTuber puts their video out for it to be seen. Otherwise, what is the flipping point? Let me tell you something. The Justice for Jay movement would not have taken place hadn't YouTubers like myself, like Vibes, like OMGGGTV, like Soulflow, like Kim, like Tashelle. had not come out here and brought it to your attention in the first place. And the only way we're able to get that message across is through views. You better believe it. Through views. So when they say things like this, I'm just wondering if anything is computing. Hello, is it that the lights are on but nobody is home? Clearly. Because what? And I'm not going to lie, Shay and King both sound extremely narrow minded and extremely ignorant of the kind of topic that they chose. Listen, only need for just allow certain things alone. Try to forget yourself, so I'll talk to in America. Focus on them something there. At the end of the day, why are you here talking on a subject because you felt the need to rush out and defend CMR? CMR is a grown man capable of defending himself. And so far, he's been doing a very poor job of it. You coming out here claiming to rescue your friend. Okay, you think you're doing the ethical thing, the stand up thing, because these people make you eat a food. But all you have done is made it worse. Yes, in essence, you've made it worse. So let's go through some of the things, the ridiculous things that you said. You know what time it is, graduates. We're gonna share the we're gonna share the live, but we're gonna share the transcript of the live because we're that stupid over here. No, right? Let's go. Okay, so 99.9% of people who come out and I look out pan CMR and him situation, they're not doing it from the heart. Majority of them don't care about the little girl. Here we go again with the sweeping generalizations, which shows a complete lack of thought and only a mastery in stereotyping people, because that's what you've tried to do by claiming that all of us don't care about the little girl. That in itself is a lie. The majority of the voices that are coming out here are in defense of that little girl. And you're thinking that the only way this can be done is if it is beneficial. You know what that speaks to? That speaks to your mindset, your mentality. In other words, you only do something if it's going to financially benefit you. And therefore, so you thinketh, so you are. So let me ask you this question, King and Shay. Are you trying to say that the only reason why you've come out here in defense of CMR and Chrissy is because it's beneficial to you? Okay, you may not necessarily be doing it for views because that video never really clock a lot of views, I'm not gonna lie. But is it because it benefits you in terms of contact and support, ongoing support for CMR and Chrissy? Is it because you three are pally pally? You came out here and said that you guys are friends. Those people are not friends with anybody. You're being used and duped. But anyway, let me carry on reading, right? So they don't care about the girl, right? You're basically saying there's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of views. See if you can pronounce after me, King. Views, not views, or whatever the hell you were saying. But anyway, there's a lot of money in it because there's lots of views and they're hot topic right now. Yes, they are hot topic right now. And in that respect, it is because of the diaspora that they represent and the fact that they are considered to be top influencers in the diaspora going through this. In effect, what it does is it opens up the topic from the top down. It shows people that despite having the facade of a perfect life, there are things going on underneath. Now, some people may rejoice about that, and those are people who would have wanted to see their downfall from the very beginning. Some people are hugely disappointed by the behaviors of the people involved, particularly Chrissy for not coming out here and defending her daughter, and CMR for repeating his shaming of the family as he did in 2023, right? Um, Now, at the end of the day, to think that people who come out here necessarily do it just for money is you trying to deflect away from the main point. Your friend was accused of molesting a 13-year-old. And that can't rub out. So, anyway, let's carry on reading some of the things that you said here. That it's about money, and, that's why they come out and they do this every day. Let me tell you something. Chrissy and CMR have got the power to stop the talk. Or because they can't stop the talk, because what it is that really happens can't be exposed to the public because it's so shameful and so embarrassing that they can't talk about it. So it's either they're going to come out here and stop the talk and put it straight that, listen, this did not happen. He is completely innocent. Not some waffly conversation like what was had on the fix that clearly went neither left nor right, right? They have the power to stop the talk. But you notice they're not saying anything. But here you guys come to make noise. And it is literally empty noise. Empty noise. There's no sense in the things that you've said, right? So you went on to talk about the fact that you can clearly see that they're shielding their daughter from certain things from the public. And you're now saying it's not really your place to come and shed the light on the situation. That's what you were about to say. But you kind of just clammed up at that point. By that very line, you are actually suggesting quite strongly that the daughter is the cause of this public shame, in that she needs to be shielded because she did not tell the truth. There's no other conclusion. If she told the truth, the shielding isn't necessary because everything's already out there. It's already out there. It's already being discussed. It's a public record. It's already exposed. So how does this shield their daughter? Is it that Jay doesn't want it discussed, doesn't want it a part of the family vlogs? Say that. How is it difficult to say that? That, listen, guys, we know that you're aware of the situation and we would like to come out and address it. But Jay has made it clear that she does not want this to be a part of our content. She does not want the whole sordid ordeal to be a part of the content. So our promise to her is to not bring this forward. However, we can assure you that we're doing everything we can to keep her safeguarded. And where her father is concerned, they are in separate spaces while they continue to heal. I mean, that hard? That hard? That not hard enough? That not hard enough? Straight away, so the internet now got upon what happened to Jay, justice for Jay, because just to respect her wishes and her desires to not go through having to revisit things and having her name out there with certain things, we would divert because steady heat now go come off a CMR. Either way you take it. Because unless there is a definitive that says, listen, I did not do this. It was all a mistake. It was a misinterpretation. And even then, me not even think him I go get way. Because how can a 13-year-old misinterpret being touched on the breasts, misinterpret having her pants pulled down, misinterpret having being lifted from the bed and put on the floor? How? But anyway, then you came and you started comparing CMR to Jesus Christ. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just looking like, what? What? Oh, as though he's being crucified like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was crucified for our sins. CMR ain't being crucified for my sin. And I would hope, King and Shay, that he's not being crucified for yours. But then again, I do understand that Shay did get pregnant underaged. But let's not go there. All I'm saying is that to compare him to Jesus is beyond outrageous because Jesus was a sacrificial lamb for the sins of humanity. CMR ain't no sacrificial lamb for the sins of humanity. CMR's crucifixion, metaphorically, is as a result of his own dirty behavior and the things he's put out here in the public, plus the fact that he has been alleged to have touched this child inappropriately. Very different concepts altogether. So don't try that. Don't bring Jesus into this. I'm sure Jesus isn't happy right now. Don't do that. He then went on to talk about the fact that 99.9% of the people were against Jesus. And then there was this 1%. Oh my God, this just speaks to the fact that you did not go to school because, honey, it's 0.1%. But anyway, right? Because then we'd have 100.9%. Sure, make no sense. But yeah, he then tried to temper things by talking about the fact that, 9 out of 10 girls have been through this situation. And, there's a lot of the audience that feels this way, that's been through it. And you are basically in this part of your vlog saying that people are projecting their personal experience and personal feelings through the events that has taken place with Jay. And therefore, they're overcomplicating what actually took place, as though you seem to know the details. And that everything that people are feeling is what they would have felt when they went through their previous trauma, and not necessarily what Jay is feeling or has felt in this circumstance. You're speaking so sure about this because it coming like say he has told you a story. But remember, he told Vegas a story too. Yeah, he did. He told Vegas a story too. So how are you so sure he hasn't lied to you? Is what I really want to find out. Because you are so gullible to everything that has been spoken to you that you're actually willing to throw this child under the bus and say that none of the things that you guys are feeling out there about being victims or survivors of molestation or SA actually applies to this little girl. None of it applies. You're not speaking on behalf of the child. It's bizarre to me. You're speaking on behalf of the kid. Like, what the hell do you know? Hmm? Make it make sense. No, you actually had the audacity to say the first time you heard about this was when you guys were out drunk and drinking at a club. You were even too inebriated to actually take in the information properly. And then in your drunken state, you formed a conclusion that he was not this kind of person and that September people look out for kids. The most ignorant of 2025 January statement to exist thus far. I don't think another foolish one can beat this, right? Mm-mm. No. How does being born in September disqualify you from being a potential child molester? How does that make sense? Graduates, I mean one last because this don't make sense. Yeah? How September people look out for kids differently? What are you saying? Any other month it would have been fine. You see, I was born in May, in June, not May, that's my month. Try your best. In June, July, August, whatever, it would have been more likely then that he would have that type of temperament. I try use big word and it don't make no sense. Huh? This reason is on a different level of dotish. I ain't gonna lie. Why? When you said that you've always had felt like he really wouldn't do something like this, and you're wondering if it's something they're really hiding, something, but it's not your place to shed light. It was contradictory. And that was the one moment of reasonable doubt that you had throughout this entire speech that you gave, that you were wondering if they're really hiding something. Do you know that that was your instinct speaking to you? That was your inner consciousness telling you that the story does not add up. And then you came out saying it's not your place to shed light on it. So then why the hell is it your place to actually come and speak on something that you cannot clarify and you cannot shed light on? You're saying that they're protecting their child from the internet. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're protecting themselves from the truth. They're protecting their image from the public because they're still parading the child around in vlogs and making money off of her very presence. If they were protecting the child from the internet, they would resist every opportunity to visibly see her, have her voice in the background, but not her face. You guys are trying to make it look like they're more protective than they actually are demonstrating. You're saying I've always felt like he didn't do it. So we are to be swayed on social media on the basis of your gut feelings when you can't even say the word views properly. We don't get the impression from you that you are a deep thinking person, because the way you've put this argument across, it would be literally the case of blind leading the blind if anybody listened to you. Some me not care at this point if you're vexed because me and you will never sit at the same table and talk and drink a cup of tea. Mm-mm, no, it not gonna happen. Shay then comes out talking about the fact that as mothers, that her and Chrissy are born on the same day. Like, so what does that make you? It makes you a Chrissy number two, Chrissy Junior. But anyway, that if you were in the same situation, you would have come out and say nothing about the situation. If you knew your husband did do certain things and so forth, you wouldn't come out and say anything about it. You lie. You lie. Who would have come out and talk? The things I've seen you guys demonstrate on social media for pranks, including duping your entire audience while you were purchasing a house, I know that you have got scamming capabilities, which takes a certain degree of courage. So, really and truly, you coming out and saying something like this, I think you would have capitalized on it just like them because so far you're reading like a set of carters. I'm not going to lie. You would have come out and you would have clickbait the life out of that situation and you would have earned from it. Hmm. But you went on to talk about the fact because, we're a situation like that. It's because it's your daughter, you understand, and you have to be protective. I get it. They're trying to be protective. They're trying to be protective. Let's go down that line of argument that this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to protect her. Either they're trying to protect her from the fact that she told the truth and therefore not wanting her reputation to be ruined around her family, her friends, and so on. She's got to go back to school. She's got to face the fact that it's out there. I'm sorry. For one thing, I'd change my daughter's school. Yes, I would. I wouldn't keep her at the same school. That in itself is about protecting her reputation and her image because it done gone bad already. It's out there, right? And me no bust news, but I certainly do talk on the news that's out there. And I never bust this, but it was out there. And the moment it hit, it was like the fires that nearly consumed Los Angeles. I'm talking about the moment it hit the ground, it just spread like crazy. So what steps should people make when it comes to protecting their child? It should really be a case of everybody at that school, do they know about it? Does it make sense for her to keep going back there? Are teachers going to be looking at us differently, looking at her father differently? Maybe a change of environment is necessary. You know, and that's between Chrissy and the kids in terms of how they deal with it. But it's already out there, and damage control isn't about keeping silence. In fact, the damage control of keeping silence is making it worse. As you can see, the movement for Justice for Jay has grown. There's so many others, YouTubers that are getting in on the conversation now because it has struck a chord with them or because they're capitalizing. Because I'm not going to lie, it's not like there won't be a percentage that's doing just that, especially those who dip in and dip out at key moments when things go viral. It's different for those of us who literally sit here every day and hammer it into the head of the public. But of course, there are some people that would be ignorant to that approach, right? Them, I think this was King speaking, that people just want to hear the bad thing. They don't want to hear the good. What is the good thing that there is to hear? The case being dropped is not good news. How is that so difficult to understand? A case being dismissed is not an acquittal. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't make everything straightforward down the middle. He's innocent. It doesn't. So that news was not good news. And him going on the fix saying that he has been vindicated is not even legal jargon. And at the end of the day, claiming that he got a piece of paper saying that he was post the piece of paper. Make we see. Post it. But he's not going to post it. Did he show you a piece of paper that showed that he was proven to be innocent? Or did you just take his word for it? So sad. So, so sad. There's a lot of people who wish to hear that he was innocent and that it didn't happen. And that if anything, it was a family drama, family misunderstanding, a family lie that went out of hand, whatever, because of a rebellious teen. Yeah, they would be disappointed in Jay, but really, it would be down to the parents to make sure that she's protected from that and to show that they are developing her as a more truthful child, right? And I don't know if that's what the Bible studies are about, if that's the case. But right now, the way things are being presented is not about we don't want to hear good. We've heard nothing good. So far, it's still justice for Jay, and it still looks like things are being hidden to the disadvantage of that child. You then went on to say the next dumbest statement. No. You then went on to say a dumber statement because you said the dumbest one already, which was the September thing. This one is that was the dumbest. This is the dumber. Yeah. Twiddly dee, twiddly do. Anyway, the next dumb statement that a man charged in for molestation in America, right, as an example, that if CMR was touching her in certain places, particularly in a particular way, because you were struggling to say it, don't you guys think he would still be in jail? Ugh. Oh God. I think I'm actually losing brain cells reading this transcript. This is the first transcript that's challenged my compos mentis. Yeah. Just- Have you guys ever heard of evidence? Hmm? Have you guys ever heard of guilty beyond doubt that it has to be an airtight case, no holes in the case, hard evidence that will show that this person did what they were charged with? In order for them to give a sentence, they have to go through a trial. In order for a case to get to trial, prosecution has to look at the submitted evidence to see if it is valid, if it is worthwhile a case to actually try in court so as to not waste taxpayers' dollars. Now, if they look and they see that actually we've got no physical evidence, then how do you expect it to be proven? If somebody comes and they touch you on your backside and walk away, what evidence is there if there was no witness around? You're speaking to your audience as though they're a bunch of dunces. I'm not gonna lie. You're literally giving them no brain food over there. I don't even know what kind of content you guys watch because from you scammed with that house, I haven't looked at you guys again, unsubscribed everything, took one myself, only to hear that you've come and you started speaking nonsense about this case. And as I'm going through this, I'm realizing just how ridiculous you actually sounded over there. You then came out talking about that you don't give a damn. The truth is the truth. You don't care. And that all these mothers coming out to comment like a long time them know her. They're a long time them know Chrissy, a long time them don't see her, and don't care. And they get cocky and they get well arrogant with the subscribers, right? It doesn't matter what they think. Yes? And that you are getting lots of new supporters now. Hmm? So it no matter if them want piss off. That's what you basically saying. You have, in fact, made things so much worse. You have, in fact, made things so much worse for your friends. You look as though you're covering up. You look as though you're trying to tie up loose ends. You're also throwing their daughter under the bus, claiming that you care for the daughter. You kind of implied that, and others don't. None of these actions have put Jay first. By saying he didn't do it, you have said that she has lied. Did you even consult Chrissy when you did this, or did you just get authority from CMR, who's been clamoring and begging for his YouTube buddies to come out and give him a character reference? Are you doing this to win favors with the Carters at the risk of losing your own subscribers who, and I'm telling you, so many of them have said that they have unsubscribed as a result of that vlog. You believe that it's okay for the Carters to rob you financially for their shameful moments just because you are trying to be a friend? And to prove that you're not doing this for being noticed, you're doing it for being noticed. But the end result is that you've lost out because the majority of the audience, and this is about you having some degree of intelligence and research knowledge, you don't realize that the majority of your audience are against CMR. They like you, them not like him. Just look at your comments. They literally don't appreciate this video. And some of them are beg if I take it down. You definitely did not do yourselves any justice, and you didn't do Chrissy any justice, and you didn't do CMR any justice. You chat out them business of them in the same house while you had chat, right? Confirming that off camera them very much shack up together and I do them things. And you said in his house it could be the actual house, suggesting that they're around all of the kids, leaving people open to start to speculate and wonder. Hold on a minute. Okay, you said in their house, and that there's no way Chrissy would be smiling and happy knowing that this has happened. Have you ever considered that Chrissy herself is scared of that man with his gun range activities? It's just a thought. I'm trying to say to you that unless you were a fly on the wall, you cannot take somebody's word for it. And the safest thing you could have done was stay silent or at least come out and pray for them and say, listen, we're praying for them, that their family sorts things out, right? We do not know the details of what took place and we're not going to comment on it. That would have been enough as friends. But what Kushane wanted you to do? Kushane wanted you guys to come out here and make him look good. He wanted you to boost and stroke his little ego as Daddy Internet, Daddy YouTube. Not Uncle YouTube and Daddy YouTube. Uncle YouTube is somebody else. Mr. Pro. Yeah? To make him look like he would never ever do something like that. Listen, you don't know, I don't know. But what I will always do is err on the side of the child. Because that's what a responsible adult does. Let it be proven that nothing don't go so. When a child speaks and says, I definitely made that up and almost destroyed my family when she's old enough to, then the rest of us will go back and go, my God. So he really didn't deserve that. And me would have willing to take that shame there and that embarrassment there, but you see me right now, when it comes to that child and how her disposition is, her mannerism and how they've described her as the perfect daughter. I shouldn't say they, CMR himself, as the perfect child, a good little girl. It's not even like him even said, why she's a teenager, sometimes they get problem. No, she is just the best stepdaughter ever. How am I going to know? Listen to you guys basically claiming that he did not do it and therefore she's a liar. Yeah, help the man, I think. That puts you guys in a very precarious position. But we'll keep watching and we'll keep an eye on you, right? Because I don't think that's the end of that. I'm pretty certain that PR will advise him to come to tidy up after the mess you've created out here on social media. Hmm? Pretty certain Chrissy had a chip about the things them we want to say. It na help. That na help. This has made the stain more permanent. That can never about. Hmm? Care about. Anyway, guys, please do not forget to head over to hdkdigitaldesigns.com and get yourself some lovely hoodies. Yes, the merch over there is absolutely fantastic. The latest merch that came out, we've already had graduates coming back to say they received it and how fantastic the material is. The one that says, we're graduates for a reason. You don't know. Of course we are. Hello. No question about it. We are, right? So head over to the shop and grab up that merch. There's so many different designs over there. It's not just hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's water bottles, there's everything that you can think of that's designed just for my graduates. All right. Do that to show your support for the platform. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.